It was a close race for the top spot at the box office, but the charts saw little change as we bring in 2018, pulling off the three-peat of Star Wars: The Last Jedi, which brought in $52.4 million in its third weekend to raise its domestic total to $517.1 million. Initially, especially after the 69% second weekend drop, there was some concern Episode 8 would underwhelm, relatively speaking, commercially, but those concerns are hardly warranted. The Last Jedi has quickly become the highest-grossing film of 2017 in the United States and the latest member of the $1 billion club. This marks the third consecutive time a Star Wars movie has crossed that plateau globally, as the revived franchise has earned back the $4 billion Disney spent on Lucasfilm just in ticket sales alone, with The Last Jedi topping fellow Mousehouse blockbuster Beauty and the Beast. It has now been 3 straight years the Star Wars series has won the #1 spot on the yearly box office chart. In second again is Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, which held its own against Star Wars and made $50.5 million in its second weekend. That figure is actually a 38.9% increase from its debut weekend, though that can be attributed to Jumanji opening on a Wednesday, becoming one of the hits of the holiday season. The adventure movie is now up to $169.8 million domestically and is holding quite well. Coming in third is Pitch Perfect 3 with $17.7 million. The sequel now stands at $64.2 million in the States, trailing its predecessor by a good margin. For comparison's sake, Pitch Perfect 2 earned $69.2 million in its first 3 days back in the summer of 2015, illustrating that this franchise isn't holding as much interest as it used to. The number 4 movie is The Greatest Showman, which grossed $15.2 million over the weekend. Hugh Jackman's musical biopic has now earned $48.7 million in the US. Rounding out the top 5 is Ferdinand with $11.6 million. The animated family film raised its domestic total to $53.8 million. In 6th is Pixar's Coco. The latest offering from the animation powerhouse made $6.5 million in its 6th weekend and currently stands at $178.9 million domestically. Opening in 7th is the new drama All the Money in the World. Read our review. Bringing in $5.4 million in its first 3 days. The film has earned positive buzz as a potential awards contender and generated numerous headlines last month when director Ridley Scott made the decision to do last-minute reshoots, replacing Kevin Spacey with Christopher Plummer as J. Paul Getty. Those factors intrigued some cinephiles, though it obviously had a tough time standing out amidst the numerous releases currently playing. It will be interesting to see what kind of legs it has, especially as more Oscar hopefuls are starting to go wide. Coming in 8th is Darkest Hour with $5.2 million. The Winston Churchill biopic now stands at $17.9 million in the US. The number 9 movie is downsizing with $4.6 million. The Matt Damon vehicle has currently earned $17 million domestically. Capping off the top 10 is Father Figures, making $3.7 million in its second weekend. The comedy raised its domestic total to $12.7 million. Note: these are only weekend box office estimates, based on Friday and Saturday ticket sales coupled with adjusted expectations for Sunday. Official weekend box office results will be released on Monday, January 1st, at which time we'll update this post with any changes. Source: Box Office.